This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. The controversial Coalition for Marriage rally will soon begin in Hobart after initially running into difficulties with finding an appropriate venue. Hundreds are now expected to turn up to the University of Tasmania campus tonight for the forum. Our reporter Jacqueline Robson joins us live from Sandy Bay. Jacqueline, good evening. How have preparations been for organisers?
Well, Rachel, it's been a scramble for organisers. Late yesterday, the University of Tasmania decided to host the event after a last-minute cancellation by Rest Point. Now, the rally tonight will hear from prominent No campaigners, including Lyle Shelton and Corey Bernardi, who we spoke to earlier today. Corey Bernardi will focus his speech on what he calls the consequences of changes to the Marriage Act.
They do have an impact on freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and they will affect lots of other pieces of legislation as well. So we want people to think about those consequences before they cast their vote.
I hope Senator Bernardi actually addresses the fundamental question here without trying to distract people with a range of issues that actually have nothing to do with the fundamental question of whether our laws should or should not contain discriminatory elements as they currently do.
Now, preparations are underway with the event to kick off at 7 p.m. Security will be present throughout the event, but organisers don't anticipate any disruptions. A protest by Student Yes campaigners against the forum has now been cancelled due to permit issues.
I think that it is disrespectful to its LGBTIQA students who are having to have this brought to a place where they're supposed to be able to feel safe.
With just under an hour until the event kicks off behind me, we've seen people filing into the lecture theatre. We'll bring you the full wrap-up of tonight's event in tomorrow's bulletin, Rachel.
OK, thank you for that, Jacqueline. Jacqueline Robson reporting live there at Sandy Bay. A murderer with a history of serious crimes of violence against women has failed in a bid to reduce his sentence. Darren Michael Dobson is serving a life sentence with a non-parole period of 15 years for killing mother of two Jodie Eaton at Gagebrook in 2014. Michael Breen has more.
Today here in the Supreme Court, 3 judges dismissed the murderer's appeal against his sentence. Darren Michael Dobson pleaded guilty to the murder of mother of two Jodie Eaton at a Gagebrook property in 2014. He was sentenced to life in jail with a non-parole period of 15 years. The judge saying his efforts to hide the victim's body was callous and lacked immediate remorse, describing it as the worst category of murder. But Dobson's lawyer challenged the sentence as manifestly excessive, with too much weight on prior criminal history. In the Court of Criminal Appeal today, that argument was dismissed. The court's judgment saying Dobson had a continuing attitude of disregard for the law, with a pattern of offending that included 3 rapes and the strangling and assault of a pregnant woman. At the time of the murder, he was serving a suspended sentence and on bail. It was also pointed out Dobson hasn't received the maximum penalty for murder. He will be eligible for parole after serving 15 years jail. That means he could be back on our streets in 2029.
2 Launceston men have been arrested and charged with attempting to import a commercial quantity of MDMA into Tasmania. 34-year-old Shay Alex Gibling and 27-year-old Toby John Delavalli appeared in the Launceston Magistrates Court this afternoon after being taken into custody yesterday. Gibling pleaded not guilty to the attempting to import charge and also not guilty to another charge of possessing a border control drug. Delavalli didn't enter any pleas. Both men were granted bail and will next appear in court on November 14. The Premier is defending the Commonwealth's new antiterrorism initiative following allowing access to drivers' licences to help identify terror suspects. Will Hodgman says it will bolster security for Tasmanians, denying it will impinge on privacy.
This is a step in the right direction with information that was already available to law enforcement agencies right across the country but wasn't being properly coordinated.
This kind of erosion of fundamental freedoms is an argument as to why we need a Charter of Rights in this country so that we can enshrine and codify our rights and protect our rights against the ongoing erosion we're seeing from the Labor and Liberal parties.
All state and territory leaders agreed to the new system, which will come online next year. Police are investigating an armed robbery at a Bridgewater bottle shop. A man with his face covered entered this store at 8:30 last night, brandishing a 30-centimetre knife. He demanded cash and made off on foot.
The male has been described as approximately 170 centimetres to 180 centimetres tall, of medium build. At the time he was wearing a black hooded jacket that has white sleeves or white stripes on the sleeves and a green inside the hood.
Anyone with information should contact Crime Stoppers. The state's largest food relief organisation just got bigger with a new food bank hub opening in Devonport. The hub has been months in the making and aims to improve distribution of meals for those in need. It comes after a high demand in the community.
Yes, we have seen an increase, and we've seen an increase there right across the board in areas, in communities that you would not expect to see a need. In the last 12 months alone, Food Bank Tasmania has provided 2.5 million meals. That's 1.3 million kilos of food statewide.
The Tasmanian government's providing $100,000 per year for this facility to operate. It will provide a distribution hub from the northwest coast, but of course this organisation services the whole state.
The opening today was welcomed by the government, who'll provide a further $400,000 in funding over 4 years. AFL great Neil Daniher has arrived in Tasmania ahead of tomorrow's MND Big Freeze in Launceston. Daniher has opened up about his battle with motor neuron disease and says he wants to attend Tassie's event to thank those helping find a cure.
Still smiling despite fighting an incurable disease.
I'm a lot worse than last year, but I'm a lot better than I'll be next year.
It's the aggressive nature of motor neuron disease that has Neil Daniher still working to find a cure. The AFL great is in the state as a special guest for the second annual Tassie freezing for MND. While his condition is deteriorating,
You can see I struggle to speak. Eventually I won't be able to walk, won't be able to eat, won't be able to breathe.
he says he didn't want to miss the Big Freeze and tomorrow night's sold-out Gala Ball.
I come down to thank the people of Launceston, thank the people of Tassie to get behind that cause. So it's really important for me to be here.
The fundraiser is expected to be double the size of last year's, and combined with the ball, organisers hope to raise $110,000. The avenue here between St John and George Streets will be closed from 6 tomorrow morning until early afternoon. It will be right here where well-known Tasmanians, businessmen and children take the plunge into a freezing pool.
It's a 10,000 litre pool with 400 kilograms of ice going in it, so it's going to be an amazing sight. We've got roughly about 45 people that are going to that have committed and donated to go down the slide.
Daniher won't be going down.
I'm wimping it again, but I'll be there to cheer everyone that's going down, and I'll have fun pushing them down.
It's all about having fun, and that's sort of the message from Neil Daniher as well, is have fun, but we've got to try and beat this disease.
Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
Young Tasmanians are being encouraged into the automotive industry through a successful apprenticeship program. The Pre-Employment Initiative, in partnership with TasTAFE, is hoping to launch more school leavers into the workplace.
For 18-year-old Anthony Keating, getting into the automotive industry was always a dream of his.
Well, ever since I was a kid, basically. I was very young and always interested in cars.
After completing school, he became involved in a special program run by the automotive commerce body and TasTAFE, an 18-week course that's now landed him a 4-year apprenticeship.
With the program that they go through there, They get insight on how we work and what's required of them and what's involved in being a mechanic.
An important initiative helping young Tasmanians into full-time employment as businesses search for the right apprentice.
Got a few friends that have been trying to get into jobs like this for the past couple of years as well, and they've found it difficult.
Trying to find apprentices that are motivated and want to learn the trade.
Applications for the 2018 program are now open, with scholarships also available. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
They say laughter is the best medicine, but for some suffering mental illness, art is proving the perfect therapy. An exhibition which coincides with Mental Health Week aims to reduce the stigma around the illness and explore the relationship between art and well-being.
They say art is the best form of expression. People suffering from mental illness have used art to release emotion onto a canvas and share their experience with others.
It helps me, I suppose, release my mind. I mean, it takes off, if I'm having problems or whatever, I like to just do some drawing and it'll just take me into a different space and not a space where I'm worried about everything.
The Minds Do Matter annual exhibition comes as part of Mental Health Week.
The whole idea of this exhibition is to really raise awareness and understanding of mental illness and disabilities, but also to reduce the stigma that's often attached to mental illness.
Each year, more and more artists are expressing their interest. This year, there are over 100 items, with the curators saying it's the most they have ever seen.
Art is something that people can do with their minds, through their hands and their bodies, and just create something. And I think it's probably the most effective way of trying to understand the inner self of these people.
For some, art is meditative, but for others, it's therapy.
If I'm in a low mood due to mental health struggles, it helps me cope with what I'm dealing with, or if I've just gone through a really stressful, hard time physically, it also helps quite a lot.
Morgan Tumour has suffered from a number of physical and mental health issues. She says her painting reflects her journey and hopes to inspire others.
I suppose I look forward to my future as being tranquil and happy, and I suppose that resonates in the painting.
She says there is still a lot of stigma surrounding mental illness, which this art exhibition hopes to break. It will run until October 29 at the Inveresk Art Gallery. Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian artists are drawing inspiration from marine pollution for a new exhibition. Vanishing Point Unseen is now on show at the IMAS exhibition space. It includes art made from marine debris to highlight the impact microplastic has on the environment.
When you think that something that is not visible to the human eye can affect something the size of a humpback whale as it comes up through the food chain, I think it's time that we sat up and took a little more notice.
The exhibition runs until November 25. Tasmanians fighting lupus disease are encouraging others to make sure they're aware of the condition's symptoms. The Lupus Association of Tasmania today launching its new advertising campaign, highlighting the often hidden illness. Lupus is an incurable autoimmune disease where the body starts fighting itself. Initial symptoms include fatigue, joint pain and swelling.
Diagnosed because the symptoms are also similar to many other diseases. So what we're trying to do is get doctors to think about it more, and to get the patients or people with symptoms to say to doctors, could it possibly be lupus?
Doctors say a large amount of damage can be done if people aren't diagnosed early. Now a look at business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed higher, boosted by the mining, energy and banking sectors ahead of key market-moving US jobs data due overnight. The ASX 200 index has risen by 58.9 points. And a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 77.55 US cents and 109.32 New Zealand cents.
After weeks of speculation, it's finally been confirmed former Devonport coach Mitch Thorpe will join the Launceston Football Club in 2018. And he's not the only former Pie that'll be in navy blue next season. They were impressive in 2017, but the Blues' 2018 premiership credentials have just been given a massive boost.
Mitch and I go way back. We played in South Australia at Glenelg for a couple of years together and formed a really strong relationship. And we learnt on each other at times through that period.
After announcing his resignation as playing coach of Devonport, most expected Thorpe would join his old mate next season, and the deal even comes with a bonus sweetener, with Thorpe's 2013 South Launceston Premiership teammate Dylan Riley, who starred for the Pies this TSL season, also on board.
Dylan went to Devonport based on Mitch coaching that year, so for him to stay, he probably felt it was time for Dylan to move on as well. Dylan's got so much X factor. You're playing across half back, and he now starts to add to our team some intercept marking and some speed and run from behind and carry.
As for Thorpe, he's set to prove a potent addition to the Blues forward line, which already boasts one of the league's best goal magnets in Sonny Whiting. With Lonergan laughing off rumours the pair don't get along.
I'm pretty sure they're both excited to play in the same forward line and work with each other. It's a big and a small. You couldn't want probably a more dynamic duo in the TSL or in any football side, the two of them playing together.
And after going deeper into the 2017 final series than anyone gave them credit for, all signs are pointing to the Blues being a true premiership force next year.
We'll have probably a couple of retirements and that'll be it really. So in a really good position to push forward, and the boys are they're back training already, so they're wanting it and they're ready to go.
Tasmanian Roar coach Julia Price says the side's new recruits are ready to make a big impact this domestic season. The Roar flew out of Hobart this morning ahead of their opening WNCL matches in Adelaide. Itching to get on the field after a long and arduous pre-season.
It's just a relief, I think. I think we're all a little bit sick of indoor nets and the weather, so we're keen to get outside. And the restructure's been quite supportive of the female program as well, so we're really happy with where we're going at the moment.
The side begin their domestic season tomorrow against WA at the Adelaide Oval, with a mix of familiar and fresh faces.
Well, we've got Stephanie DeFaro, who's joined us from New South Wales, so she's a really good batch, had a good hit out last week and got a 50 for us, so in a practice game, so that was good. We've got Erin Fazakli and Courtney Webb, two young Tasmanians that we're really excited about as well.
Brooke Hepburn will take to the field for the first time as captain after a pre-season leadership changeover with Raw veteran Veronica Pike.
Ronnie and I have been talking about what happens after you, so we thought now was a really good time with a little bit of a shift in where the team was going and the restructure in Cricket Tasmania to change our leadership, and Ronnie's fully on board with that.
The Raw follow up tomorrow's WA clash with a match against South Australia the following day. Meantime, the stage is set for a fierce few months of Premier League cricket, with the season officially launched at Blunston Arena today. It gets underway with 4 matches tomorrow.
We start with a couple of 2020s, which is always a great way to get the season started. Double headers down at Kingston and Kangaroo Bay, so looking forward to getting that underway.
Good evening. Hobart 14 degrees today, Launceston and Burnie 19, and Devonport recorded 17. 19 was the high also recorded at Wynyard, Bridport and Bushy Park. Our best rainfall overnight was 28 mils at Harts Mountains and 27 at Fools Ridge, while today Fools Ridge backed it up with another 3 mils. Cressy and Low Head 18 degrees, St Helens 17, Friendly Beaches 16, Flinders Island and Grove 15, King Island and Strawn both 14 degrees. There is a low pressure system with associated cloud bands that moved off the northeast of the state today. A high pressure zone has low cloud that's extending from central Australia to over the New South Wales coast. Another high has produced low cloud over the Bight, and a front approaches WA. Low level cloud over most of Tasmania in that southerly airstream. Clear skies along the north coast. Tomorrow the high sits to our east, a ridge extending up the coast of the mainland. The cold front reaches Western Australia, and there's another one too appearing in the Bight. Winds south to southwesterly at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots over the northwest and east. There will be an easing at 10 to 20 knots in the evening. Strong wind warnings on for waters between Sandy Cape and Stanley. The weekend kicks off with a possible light morning shower, but clearing from Hobart, a top of 18 degrees, 18 and cloudy for Medina. Oatlands partly cloudy and 17. Launceston mostly sunny, getting up to 20 degrees, 16 for Devonport. Lyra-Weenie, 0 overnight, but 14 tomorrow, mostly sunny, great in the mountains. Burnie partly cloudy and 15, 18 the top for Strawn, and Marrawar 15 degrees. And in the east tomorrow, partly cloudy, 17 for St Helens, Swansea 18, Orford a top of 16 degrees. UV in the moderate range, but high for Launceston, Burnie and Devonport. On Sunday, patchy rain extending across the state from the northwest, with gusty nor'easterlies turning nor'westerly later. Light showers showers on Monday, contracting to the west and far south in the afternoon, and mostly fine on Tuesday with another shower over the west and far south. A shower or two for Perth and Adelaide tomorrow, a fine 23 forecast for Melbourne, mostly sunny and 21 in Canberra. Now for Bathurst, fine tomorrow and 21 degrees, but rain and a possible storm for Sunday. Cloudy for Sydney tomorrow and showers or storms further north. Mostly clear, the conditions at the moment, 12 degrees in Hobart, still warmish in Launceston, 17 at the moment and 16 in Devonport. Back to Rachel. Rachel, how are you going repairing your relationship with our man about the town there, Tommy Cooper?
Yes, I was a little bit harsh on him, wasn't I? Thank you for that, Murph. Well, that's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates and I look forward to your company over the weekend. Thanks for joining us. Good night.